There are hundreds, possibly thousands of videos on YouTube talking about the Sig Spear, the Army's new next-generation weapon system, chambered in 277 Fury or 68x51. The thing that separates this video from the majority of them is we have actually shot it a lot. So far in this series, we've looked at the ballistic capabilities of 277 Fury and its counterpart 68x51, and they are both extremely impressive out of only a 13-inch barrel. Then we took a look at the effectiveness of these new rounds against level 4 body armor in the second video. Then we went through the XM7 in detail. In this video, we're going to do something a little different. While I've given you all my opinion of this weapon system and the round it fires, I'm just a guy who lives in the woods with way too many guns. So I thought it would be nice to get the opinion of this weapon system from someone who actually has served in the military as a Marine and seen combat.
Start the introduction.
I would just go.
Just go?
I mean, unless you want to introduce yourself.
No, not really.
I was gonna say I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But that's up to you.
If you haven't seen the first 3 videos in this series, I highly recommend you go check those out. This rifle belongs to Illumined Arms, and none of this would be possible without their help. They've got a lot of amazing things in the works. This will definitely be a company you will be hearing a lot more from in the very near future. Go give them a follow on social media so you can stay up to date on everything Illumined Arms has coming down the pipe.
All right, whenever you're ready.
All right, guys, this is the MR556. It's got a 16-inch barrel on it. This is extremely close to what I carried across the pond when I was in Afghanistan. Of course, the M27s at that time had a Picatinny rail because the military is notorious for being years behind the gun industry. One of my biggest complaints while carrying that rifle was the 16-inch barrel. I think that's one thing that went addressed from the military for so long. You add a suppressor to that and you're talking about you're carrying a rifle that's over 20 inches long, and you expect guys to go into buildings and somehow have some sort of gangster lean as they clear rooms. It's completely ineffective, it slows them down, and honestly it's kind of just dangerous. So with the new rifle, they've gone with a 13.5-inch barrel, and I think that that was a very wise decision. I honestly am very surprised they went with a 13.5-inch barrel, but I think it is a necessity, especially when you're asking people to go into buildings and clear them.
The Spear actually does have a 13-inch barrel, but Hunter probably got that bit of bad information from me. And what is really impressive is the ballistics they are able to achieve with 277 Fury and 68x51 out of only a 13-inch barrel.
One of my favorite things about the Spear, obviously, other than the fact that they went with a 13.5-inch barrel, is the round itself. The idea that you can go from CQB clearing buildings to going outside your mud hut and getting engaged in a gunfight, and the dope change being almost nothing. That's huge because when you're in the shit, rounds start flying, you don't really have time, nor are you thinking about, let me adjust my scope or let me hold high. You're just trying to get rounds downrange. So the idea that out to 500 yards the dope change is so small, I think that's going to help a lot of guys out.
Whether or not you're a fan of the next generation weapon system or not, the capabilities of 277 Fury and 68x51 are hard to dispute. 277 Fury will give the shooter 2,600 feet per second, and 68x51 will give the shooter 2,900 feet per second out of only a 13-inch barrel. This also translates into significant kinetic energy on target. We have a whole video about the capabilities of these rounds alone, and I won't bore you with all the details here, but whether you like the XM7 or not, the 277 Fury is a very capable round.
So when I was shooting the Spear, I absolutely thought it was heavier than the MR556 or the M27, but we just put it on the scale and it's actually 2 ounces lighter than the M27 MR556. And you grunts, if you're carrying these things for a long period of time, you know that ounces matter, because ounces equal to pounds, and after many hours of carrying it, you will notice the difference.
To elaborate further on what Hunter said, while I wouldn't exactly call this rifle light, it weighs in at 8.68 pounds. But what I found extremely interesting is we weighed an HK MR5562, the civilian version of the HK 416 or the Marines M27, and it weighed in at 8.92 pounds, both bare rifles. So that actually gives the Spear a slight weight advantage over what the Marines are currently carrying.
The thing that does need to be mentioned is it is the Spear 6.8. It's absolutely has more recoil than standard 5.56. You bigger guys, that doesn't matter as much, but us smaller guys, I definitely can feel the difference. I would say the recoil of the Spear delays my target acquisition and follow-up shots. Not significantly, but it is definitely more noticeable than 5.56.
Recoil is definitely a consideration, and there is no doubt about it. This has more recoil than a 5.56. However, I would say it actually feels like it has less recoil than a 308, even with the 6.8x51 loaded into the gun. I would say that the recoil is pretty close to that of a 6.5 Creedmoor, which is a little less than 308, but obviously more than 5.56. You do also notice a little more recoil when you switch from 277 Fury over to the 6.8x51, but not as much as you would think. Of course, larger people will absorb that recoil a little better, and recoil brings up another obstacle. This weapon system will need more training than a 5.56 for several reasons, but coping with recoil is definitely going to be one of those reasons.
Another really neat thing about this rifle is the fact that it is pretty much completely ambidextrous. You got ambidextrous safety selector, you got ambidextrous bolt release, mag release, and bolt hold open. You even have side charging handle, which I think is absolutely awesome. I will also mention that you have QD sling swivel mounts, which is huge because, if you were in the military, guys like rig up some sort of slings into the stock and it just never works. So the fact that you can just pop in the QD swivels right there, that's huge. I absolutely think there's going to be a learning curve for the guys, that are so used to the standard mil-spec stock AR platform. There's a lot more gadgets, but it's something that, obviously you can become proficient with the more you train.
Yeah, I really don't have a whole lot to add to that. SIG has really refined this current generation of the MCX Spear, and everything is right where it needs to be and works very well.
One thing that's pretty important to mention is the fact that obviously 6.8 Fury is going to weigh more than 5.56. It's a bigger round. This is your standard PMag. It's what I was given when I was across the pond with the M27, and then this is going to be the Magda. Goes with the Spear. I would imagine they'll go with a PMag too. I might be wrong, but right there, you can tell the size difference. This is a 30 round, this is a 25, and the 25 is significantly larger. So what does that mean? Well, you're getting less rounds, and it's a larger mag, so you're going to be able to carry less of them. I've seen guys like myself, for example. I really only carried 3 to 4 mags on my person. There'd be more in a backpack, of course, but 3 to 4 on my person on my flak. But honestly, with these mags and the size I am, it might drop down to 2 to 3 and then have to load a backpack up. The backpack's going to weigh more because the mags are bigger, the round weighs more.
Hunter brought up a pretty interesting point there, and that is the weight of the magazines, because obviously troops are going to have to carry these magazines on their person. First, I thought we'd weigh what the troops are currently carrying. A fully loaded AR-15 magazine with 62 grain green tip is going to come in at 1 pound, 1.6 ounces. So the Spear uses AR-10 magazines. Standard for an AR-10 is a 20-round magazine, so I thought we would start weighing that. We're also weighing PMags because they're the most prolific, but there is no guarantee the military will be going with those. And a 20-round PMag loaded with hybrid ammunition comes in at 1 pound 5.6 ounces. In recent years, 25-round AR-10 magazines have become quite common, so I thought we'd weigh a fully loaded 25-round magazine with hybrid ammunition, and that comes in at 1 pound 10.4 ounces. So from the fully loaded AR-15 magazine to the 25-round AR-10 magazine loaded with the hybrid ammunition, you're picking up about 9 ounces, but it is 5 less rounds. That's actually less of a difference than I thought. To give you an idea, a wooden pencil weighs about 1 ounce. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely more weight. Ounces equal pounds and pounds equals pain, but it is less of a difference than I thought.
So there's definitely going to be, negatives, drawbacks with the Spear. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, there's going to be more recoil. It's a bigger round. It's a heavier round. You're going to be able to carry less rounds. But given the fact that the ballistics are far superior to 5.56, given the idea that, we now have a less overall length rifle, this barrel's 13.5 inches. Personally, if I was going back over there and you're having to clear mud huts to going and getting in gun battles, gun fights, out to 500-600 yards, I would much prefer the Spear because, like I mentioned before, nobody wants to clear a mud hut or a building with a 16-inch rifle and a 6-inch can on the end of it. But overall, minus the fact that it's the rounds weigh more and it has slightly heavier recoil, I think this one is going to be superior to the M27.
Anytime the military is considering a new rifle, it's always a big deal. And I always think it's very interesting to hear the thoughts about that rifle from people who have actually served in the military. That's why I really wanted to make this video so Hunter could kind of give his thoughts and overviews since he's actually been there and can think about it in perspectives that I may not. And I hope you guys enjoyed that perspective as well. Guys, I want to take just a second to let you know you need to check out the Linktree link in the description. There you'll find tons of cool stuff that I've found, deals, and the gear that we actually use on the channel. So be sure to check out the Linktree in the description. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and a huge thank you goes out to Illumined Arms for making this all happen. They were the ones that loaned me the 277 Fury Spear so we could get all this data for you. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now because we have some more videos in the 277 Fury Spear series. We also have some other really cool stuff in the works that you won't want to miss. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so YouTube can let you know when we drop a new video. If you want to see what's being reviewed in real time, way before it hits the YouTube channel, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Also, if you like what you see here and you want to help support the channel, the best possible way to do that is through Patreon. YouTube's been making some changes here, and we will be putting more videos on more topics on our Patreon page. So go subscribe to that so you can get a deeper dive into everything that we do here. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching.